Hey there, football fans. Welcome back to Goalside. One of the most prolific strikers of all time, Thierry Henry, managed to become Arsenal's top scorer of all time, winning everything there is to win in world football. But the question remains, how good Thierry Henry actually is? Well, to answer this question, we have to go way back to France, 1977. Henry was born in the mystery suburbs of Paris. Mystery because they produced a ton of world-class players throughout the years. However, being a child of immigrants from the Caribbean and living among other immigrants often meant a tough life for Henry in his younger days. Thierry was lucky to have Antoine Henry as his father. He constantly pushed his son towards sports in order to make him avoid street life, which was common in those areas. Father and son often went to football matches. Henry fell in love immediately. He started playing football himself, and it was obvious right from the get-go that he was pretty talented. At just 7 years of age, he joined the local club, Les Oulets. Henry would go on and feature for a couple of local clubs, ending with Viry-Châtillon. Monaco's scouts heard of a talented youngster named Thierry Henry playing there, so they decided to send a scout in order to assess his talent. The youngster did not disappoint. He scored 6 goals in a 6-0 win for his team, prompting Monaco to offer him a contract without even having him do a trial. He dominated in the youth ranks, impressing year after year. He was pretty lucky, too, because Monaco's manager at the time was Arsène Wenger, a coach famous for his introduction of youngsters into the first team. This is why Thierry Henry received a senior debut with Monaco in 1994, when he was just 17. The youngster from the Parisian suburbs in a tough uprising had all the confidence in the world by then, and after playing a couple of excellent seasons, he was named the French Young Footballer of the Year. However, Henry wasn't just a successful individual because he guided Monaco towards the Ligue 1 title in 1996-97, playing almost every league match and scoring 9 goals. The successes kept coming for Monaco and Henry even in the following year, where the team reached the Champions League semis, with the French talent being one of the main players in the squad. It's interesting that Henry didn't even score that much. 20 goals in 105 appearances for Monaco doesn't sound all that impressive. But here's the catch. Ever since Wenger promoted him to the senior side, he deployed Henry as a winger. So even after Arsène left, he mostly played on the wing, thus making use of his dribbling and soft ball control. This made him a part of the French 1998 World Cup squad, despite him playing just a couple of matches for the national team prior to the tournament. Henry wasn't just a tourist either. He was France's top scorer with 3 goals in the tournament as the team won the World Cup in 1998, hosted in their country. Given Monaco's stature, Thierry Henry felt it was time for a move to the bigger scene. Juventus came calling, and the French forward was in Serie A after Bianconeri paid him $12.5 million to Monaco for his services. It wasn't a successful tenure. Henry scored just 3 goals in a half a season at Juventus, noting 16 appearances for the club and many disagreements with the board and the manager. The strict discipline in Italy didn't suit Henry at all. By the end of the season, he realized that his luck is somewhere outside of Serie A. Just 8 months after joining Juve, Henry departed in August of 1999 in order to join Arsenal. And guess who was there waiting for him? That's right, Arsène Wenger. Henry's first senior manager, and a man who gave him the opportunity at the highest level. Wenger was the man who demanded Arsenal to buy Henry for around $14 million, despite many people thinking it was too much for the unproven striker at the highest level. The critics came into their own very soon. Thierry Henry failed to find the net in his 8 opening appearances for the Gunners. It was a nightmare for Thierry at that point. He'd just come off an unsuccessful tenure at Juventus, and he was now hit from all sides after his scoring drought at Arsenal. But one man still believed in him, Arsène Wenger. It paid off big time. Thierry Henry flourished in all of his talents after the dire opening matches that resulted in 26 goals at the end of the season, leading Arsenal to second place in the Premier League. At that moment, everyone felt big things were awaiting Arsenal and Henry, and they did. After winning another international trophy, European Championships 2000 with France, Henry wanted some silverware with Arsenal. The Gunners had a strong season with the Frenchman as their leader, but they came up short to Sir Alex Ferguson's Manchester United once again. A real rivalry was forming between these two sides. The North Londoners were desperate to win the Premier League, and clashes between Manchester United and Arsenal remain some of the most epic in the Premier League's history. And then, in the 2001-2 season, everything fell into place. Thierry Henry was unstoppable, scoring 32 goals, determined to will his team to trophies. Arsenal ended the season as the Premier League champions and the winners of the FA Cup. He was one of the best on the planet at that point. Everyone went crazy for Henry, and he managed to outdo himself. The following 2002-3 season brought 32 goals once again, but this time the forward added a whopping 23 assists, numbers from a video game replicated in the strongest competitions in the world. Unfortunately for Arsenal, they only managed to defend the FA Cup due to United having a very strong squad able to compete with the Gunners. Even though he didn't get the silverware he wanted, Henry did win the Players' Player of the Year award, as well as the FWA Footballer of the Year. He ended up as second in the Ballon d'Or rankings, just below Pavel Nedved. This only fueled Henry to go further in his pursuit to make Arsenal a powerhouse in European football. Even though it sounds impossible, Henry surpassed his 32-goal season by scoring 39 in 2003 and 4. And this time, Arsenal won the league like nobody until or since then did. They didn't lose a single match in the full league campaign, thus becoming the Invincibles. Henry wasn't the only big-time player in the squad. You had Robert Pires, Dennis Bergkamp, Patrick Vieira, all contributing. But everyone knew who the leader was, and that leader, Thierry Henry, came up second in the Ballon d'Or rankings yet again, this time to Barcelona's Brazilian sensation, Ronaldinho. The following season saw the fall of Arsenal, who failed to defend the title, but Henry was still going strong with 31 league goals. Arsene Wenger wanted to transition some younger players into the first team, partly why Patrick Vieira departed in 2005. This opened up the captaincy for Thierry Henry. He marked his captaincy in style. The 2005 and 6 season saw Henry become Arsenal's all-time top scorer after he scored a brace versus Sparta Prague, thus having 186 goals to his name. Henry dominated, to say the least. He finished the 2005 and 6 season by scoring a hat-trick in Arsenal's last-ever match at the Highbury. He led the team to the Champions League final, where the Gunners fell to FC Barcelona, who beat them 2-1. It was then that Henry realized he'd done all he could for Arsenal. The 2006 and 7 season finally saw Henry having the down season, as he was injured for most of the year. Things were deteriorating for the club, with most of the senior members leaving, opening up space for the youngsters. Thierry Henry didn't like the situation. The striker in his peak wanted to compete at the highest level, and Arsenal couldn't provide that anymore. That's when it happened. Henry left Arsenal in a shocking turn of events in order to join Barcelona. I'd never considered leaving Arsenal, but I was 29 years old and in form. It wasn't easy. When I left, I cried. I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm a competitor, and I had to leave. As if a statue and the best goal scorer of all time at Arsenal wasn't enough, Thierry Henry managed to outdo himself later at Barca. He arrived at a star-studded team with Lionel Messi, Ronaldinho, and Samuel Eto'o all sharing the same pitch. It wasn't an easy start either. Henry had some struggles fitting in because the team lacked balance with such powerhouses playing up front. There were many talks of Thierry returning to the Premier League after just one season in Catalonia, but then Pep Guardiola took over in the 2008-9 season, and everything changed. According to his own words, Henry had to relearn football with Guardiola at the helm. He would later admit, "Pep is the reference for me. I had to relearn at Barcelona how to play the game." And relearn it he did. Thierry Henry was a key member of the squad in Barcelona's sextuple. The team won 6 trophies in 2009, including the Champions League that Henry wanted so bad. That wasn't it. Henry scored 2 goals against Real Madrid in a historic 6-2 win that marked the beginning of Barcelona's dominance over Spanish football, and Thierry was at the heart of it. He ended the season with 26 goals and 10 assists, complementing perfectly with Lionel Messi on the pitch. It would prove to be his last season at the highest level. Pep Guardiola wanted to promote Pedro to the first team, thus hindering Henry's playing time at the wing. The center attacking spot was already occupied by the undisputed Lionel Messi, with the new signing Ibrahimovic filling in the third forward role. This meant that Henry's time with Barcelona was over in 2010. The Frenchman had a great tenure at Catalonia, where he fully completed his career. After spectacular individual seasons at Arsenal, he completed the trophy room in Barcelona, where he won everything. Now it was time for footballing retirement. Just like many others, he moved to MLS in the twilight of his career, joining the New York Red Bulls. Henry actually made his mark in the USA, spending 4 seasons there, more than most other players that go to the MLS. When the 2011 season ended, Henry decided to rejoin Arsenal on a 2-month loan in 2012, with the Red Bulls' permission. This is when an epic comeback happened. Henry came on as a substitute against Leeds United in the 3rd round of the FA Cup. It was 0-0, and Alexander Song found him free in the box. What happened next was a trademark move that made Henry a legend. He leaned into his left, scoring with his right foot in the far corner, prompting the winning goal and an iconic celebration to follow. The Emirates erupted, celebrating the best player in the club's history. A man with a winning mentality always looked to score, win, and go further. Many described him as hard to work with due to his high demands from his own teammates, pushing everyone to their maximum limits. This is part of the reason why he became so successful. While he demanded a lot from others, he was the most demanding from himself. In the end, Thierry Henry finished his career with 284 goals to his name. So when they ask you how good was Thierry Henry actually, you tell them he was one of the best strikers of all time and an inspiration for a generation of French footballers ruling the world today.